Normally in the Easter Vigil, the homily is really quite short because it's such a long liturgy, but this evening we've cut so many things out, I'm going to have a normal length homily, just to warn you. In all four Gospels, it is the women, friends, and followers of Jesus who bravely go to his tomb to mourn and to be at his graveside, even though he was executed as a criminal, and military guards were stationed by the tomb. In all four Gospels, it is to these women that Jesus first appears. The angel and Jesus tell the women to announce to his brothers that he has been raised and that they are to go back to Galilee where their discipleship began, and there they will see him. In subsequent gospel accounts, they indeed see and encounter Jesus risen from the dead. Each year, the celebration of Easter gives us an opportunity to go back to where it all began for us. For the women and men of the Gospels, it was to Galilee. For us, it is our baptism. In the epistle reading, Paul tells the Christians in Rome, and now us, remember, you were baptized into his death. Therefore, you will also share in his resurrection. No matter what has transpired in our lives this past year, whatever trials, hardships, or joys, we go back to where it began for us, our baptism into the very life of God, into the saving death and resurrection of Jesus. In renewing our baptism, we find forgiveness, mercy, and new life. Yet, of course, we all know this Easter is different. In this week's email from World in Prayer, there was a sobering insight. It said, and I quote, "This journey through Holy Week is a journey of discovery in a totally unfamiliar world, at least for most of us. Now we experience what those on the margins, those with severe disabilities or illness, the migrant, the refugee, the homeless, the poor, the jobless, the voiceless, the powerless, victims of violence, those with mental illness, all experience as their normality, uncertainty, fear, lack of food, lack of money, without basic access to basic necessities, and for too many, health care, clean water, and sanitation." End of quote. That is an unnerving truth. Many of us are experiencing what many on the margins always experience. So it is even more important to go back to our baptism. What does it mean? Who am I in this life of God? And through that life in God, what is my relationship to every human being? What am I finding out in this situation of social distancing, isolation, anxiety, and suffering about what is most important in life and what isn't? What do I need to let go of in my life? What do you and I need to die to? What is true resurrected life? I propose that at the foundation of the renewal of our baptism is love. God is love. Our lives during this worldwide pandemic need to be grounded in love. Love is shown in deeds, not words. First, let us nurture our life, our union with God in prayer, and in a willingness to let go of sin, useless concerns, and self-centered actions. Let us allow ourselves to be transformed into loving, compassionate, generous, faithful, and joyful children and adults who live for others. God is the source. We, a community of faith, are called to help one another grow into this kind of human being, a true reflection of Christ. We are being blessed to see that kind of human being in the stories of men, women, and the young who are heroic, selfless, and generous, our healthcare workers, responders, store clerks of essential services, law enforcement officers, food pantry workers, and so many people who are selflessly and creatively reaching out in service to others. Whether they are Christians or not, they are examples of baptismal living. They are dying to self and bringing new resurrected life through loving service to others. For sure, sin and death still abound, but love moves on. Love conquers. Love never dies because Jesus Christ is risen from the dead.